Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good, good day, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, this old ship this old ship. Welcome to my weird world. Modern engineers. It's kind of a weird little thing I've been playing for a while. In fact, almost 2 years I've been spent playing this game. And building ships, which is why it's not going to be your traditional space engineer's survival start. In fact, it's not going to be a survival start at all. The game underwent a serious overhaul in the recent Apex update, and it caused a serious issue with my old save. So, I've started a new save, and I'm moving the ships that I've spent the last couple years building from my old base to a new base in a transition or save. There is already a base kind of built up and set up, and we're just kind of moving over. The original save was in Areas at War, or Agaris at War, and now we're going to Ares at War. There is some issues with the save, and every now and then you might see it. The MES isn't loading for this. I'm not sure why. I've tried all the steps. I'm even in the Discord group where I'm just unable to interact with the actual core element of Areas at War, which is the MES, so the bases, all that stuff. But I want to still play my game. So instead of just, sucking it up and taking it down, we're gonna continue on, and we're gonna play the game. And I have a few ideas on how I'm going to make the game playable and still have some fun. I'm gonna actually include the community to help me out and keep you guys kind of entertained as well. For example, I plan to add a city where you guys can get plots and freely build on those plots, and I'll add them into the game and join them with me. You join me though on the bridge of the Terror class frigate. She is my workhorse. She's my workhorse. She was one of the first ships I've ever built in the save or game style. And I thought it was appropriate that the first ship ever built in the save is going to be the Terror class frigate. Let me give you a quick little rundown of what she looks like. Here, let's get the spectator out. Here she is, a 120 meter long frigate. Her original design is hull is based off of a Z-23 or Z-22 destroyer that a community member built, and I have since modified and changed the hull so much it's practically its own boat. Now, you'll notice that some parts of it don't look finished. It's because during the save file move, she was in the middle of a refit, so some portions of it just don't exist. Or birthing, a few other things are missing. They were just in the middle of a refit. And also a little bit tasteless because I had the sprays mod and for some weird reason it's crashed the game, so she looks a little bland in some areas. But you know what? I think she's alright. I hope that you all enjoy this kind of series, but right now we're going to kind of do a straight transit to the new base. We'll make it intentional that that these builds also get to the workshop.
Fuel critical.
This first episode is just going to be kind of arrival into this world, and we'll see where it goes from there. I will give you a base tour, and I will give you a tour of this ship as well. There will be 2 other ships as well that hopefully arrive soon. The other one is a cargo ship, and the second one is probably going to be tugs with a few vital essentials strapped to it. So in the meantime, we're going to start this transit and make our way to port. So enjoy, I guess. Okay, so uh, seem to be steady on course here. We're gonna take this transit a little slow. We're barely doing 8 meters a second now. I might get a little confused and say 8 or uh, meters a second or knots, but that's just because in the context of space engineers, knots and meters a second are gonna be basically the same. Mostly just because that if you tried going actual ship speeds, which is actually closer to what we're doing right now, you would basically be here forever, and I don't have forever. So, right now, we are currently uh, transiting toward our new base, and if I zoom out a little bit, I'll show you exactly where that new base is. So, we're transiting down this river here, and we're going to head into our new base, which is in this basin here. That basin, or bay area, has our base, and I decided that the move was beneficial not only for resources but for materials, and it was supposed to be closer to a capital and other materials, so I could actually enjoy the areas at war. But it seems like that's not the case, because just off the coast here is supposed to be a trade station, which hasn't shown up, unfortunately. So it does look like that I'm going to be kind of trying to figure out how I'm going to implement areas at war. I'm going to basically try and figure out how I'm going to implement this. This is my first time transiting this channel, though, so it is going to be a long. I'm going to be very slow and methodical because I don't want to lose my ship. Because you see, we're right now in the middle of the channel. Okay, so times 10 speed, because I didn't want you guys waiting 4 hours while I traveled the channel really slowly. It wasn't until the very end that I noticed that the channel stayed about like 50 meters, so that allowed me to embrace the faster speeds of a warship. But yeah, I kind of went really slow, and you can see me playing around with my game settings as I try to figure this out. If the editing is a little weird and the audio is terrible, it's because it's my actual first time doing any of this. I've been trying for a while, but I haven't really felt like anything that I produced is actually worth anything at this moment. So, uh, yeah, about the Terra class, she was the first ship that I finished and built for this save. And the idea behind this save is that you don't solve your problems using uh, the solutions provided in space engineers normally. So, like, for example, if you drove a truck up to one edge of this river and you had to cross it, you would have to cross it using two methods rather than the method that space engineers provides. Most people put a thruster on it and then just fly over it or just drive under it. I would build a barge or a bridge. That's kind of the mindset. There's a lot of rules around the ship and how it's built and how the parts and pieces interact. And you can see that I subgrid a lot in order to get a lot of information everywhere. Surprisingly, playing has forgiven me for my, you know, indulgences, and I don't hesitate. And I've always wanted, when I build these ships and these saves, that I go as detailed as I can and be as intricate as I can be. So, like, for example, there's cooling systems, there's combat systems. And when the time comes, I will give you a full tour of every ship that I have and every ship that is going to enter port. And you can see I'm just still kind of playing with the settings, and here I kind of embrace top speed a little bit. Not like top speed of the ship, but I do embrace full speed a little bit at 15 knots. This ship is capable of at least 26, and she's the first of three. I have three ships built with a fourth on the planned, but probably won't be finished. I do have a destroyer and a few other vessels as well, one of which is on its way up here now. So I won't try to bore you guys with more of these transits unless it's something you like to see, and I'll give you something a little bit later uh, in the hopes in the future. That being said, you can notice that there is a few things that are different in the save, at least. It is areas at war, but none of the MES stuff works, so it's a pretty blank world. There's even there's nothing in spawning, so it kind of defeats the purpose of having a warship. But we'll figure something out hopefully here soon. I'm debating turning back on the cargo ship so that this AI can still give me a threat, because I really like building warships and I want to keep building them. But you can see that we're gonna get kind of close here, and time to enter the port checklist.
Right, so entering port. Got a little checklist here. Ensure proper operation of the bathymeter and alarm system. Well, bathymeter doesn't work for some reason, but the alarm system is running. So let me just make sure that the system works. Looks like it doesn't, if the alarm isn't set. Oh yay. So we'll have to set that alarm. That. That's perfectly fine for this. That's fine. That'll work. Okay. Let's try this again. Alright. Proper operation of the back on. Verify operation of the navigation radar. Navigation radar is verify control of rudders and backup systems. Here. Okay. Verify all propellers are operational. Yep. Verify navigation system is running. It is, but not operational. Yet, but the main map is running, so we're good. Set engineering reliability. And running up engine 2. Wait for her to spool up. And you got smoke up the back exhaust. And then set description remove exhaust. Okay, so we're gonna swap this one. And now we're set in R&D. Yep, verified. Red, white, red. Restricted maneuvering. What next? verify all weapons are in the off position. Okay, so 30. Off. Close. Off. Okay. And 5 inches. Okay. So looks like we're good. Verify mode 4 is operational. That's what's on the mast right now. Mode 4. We are transmitting. Check tugs if needed. No, not needed for this vessel. She's got directional steering and she's capable of pulling it herself. Check harbor common. Good. There's no traffic up here. Let's see. Secure surface and air search radars. Okay. Let's secure the surface radar, which doesn't have a sensor on it, and secure that. And those should shut down. Sure, operational deck lighting if necessary. If it's not necessary, it's the middle of the day, so it should be alright, but deck lighting is probably. Alright, I think that's it. I think we're good. On larger ships, there's also a section for waste and disposal, so we'll have to worry about that on the battleship. On this ship, since the waste and disposal collection is going over. And that is battle meter. So we're gonna come away from this.
Okay, back to 10 times speed because I take this little area a little slower because this is where the harbor got really shallow. And I started getting really nervous about my deeper water vessels like the battleship and eventually the carrier, which is still under construction. So we might have to come back there and dredge that section of the harbor in order to make it safe for the battleship and the carrier to transit normal speeds without worrying about whether or not they're going to hit bottom based on the time. You can see that the port is kind of all the way in the back here in this nice little channel inlet. The idea was before that at areas at war, you know, you get attacked a lot, so I kind of wanted a sheltered area. This was also really close to the capital or headquarters of the Green faction on areas at war, so I thought I could do a lot of trading, shipbuilding for them, and you know, use their defenses to help defend me as well, and we would just kind of work together. It's also really close to a lot of high value resources that I need and want, like oil, iron, stuff like that. This is the whole reason that we're moving. When I updated this map, there was no resources near where my base originally was. So I felt like I could move. I had to follow strict rules. I'm not going to spawn the whole thing. Like, there's no containers on this base at all. All my materials, if I want to keep them, have to be moved. Now, it's important to note that I follow a lot of house rules in order to play this. But you will notice that when I spawn this map onto the onto the Steam Workshop, you'll be able to play it, and you can play it however you want. But you only get the infrastructure, none of the ships, because I don't want you guys posting my ships before I get to post them. If that makes sense. Anyway, looks like we're pulled in here, so back to past me.
Alright, we're moored. We're going to head up to the pilot house. Colors. Alright, ship colors. Nav lights off. Anchor lights on. Red. Red. Those are off. And then we're going to
propellers set off. We're going to turn off the navigation radar. And welcome to port. Let's secure that a little bit. Alright, welcome to port. This is Pier 1. I'll give you guys a little base tour here, quick. We're gonna be jetpacking now. This is the main power plant and fuel station for ground vehicles. The base runs off of these two large, we'll have to fix these, but there's two large engines here that produce about 40 megawatts. This was our main production building, so all of the machines, which are empty now, but the machines are on the way, they're being shipped up here. In slipway number 1, this is a Kid class destroyer that I'm working on to act as another escort for the aircraft carrier over here. This slipway is designed just for building ships, so the idea is that you will attach rollers and then the ship will roll backward into the water. This is a fitting out area for vessels like that. Ammunition bunker and storage over here. This is the Chimera class aircraft carrier. I'm only planning to build one of these due to their absolute size and resources. It's taken me about a year to get this to where she is now, so I'm hoping to get her in the water here hopefully soon, but not that soon. She might be a couple more months. She's actually pretty well fleshed out. This vessel is another player's vessel. That's why all their machines are here already. This is they wanted to be the Coast Guard, so they're currently building a cutter. Over here we have a unfinished building, which will be on our list of things to do. With a small vessel research and development area, which is probably going to be utilized here soon. But this building is our main operations center. So upstairs, offices, down here is going to be our operations center for ship reviews. Over here is the small ship docks and dry dock, and more pier space. This was the salvage yards, so we'll hopefully get these up and running. In the meantime, we have a few other vessels that definitely need to get to port, so we'll hurry up with those and get you guys kind of situated. Alright, the second ship to arrive is the Sertrel. This is a civilian vessel that I have built under contract with a local person on the server who is our salvage unit. Now, this vessel is designed for doing salvage operations, surveying, all that stuff. We're going to go ahead and get this thing out of the way. Okay, back to 10 times speed me. I brought the Sertrel as one of the first ships that I would bring back into this play, purely because she's a survey ship. I don't know where the resources are. Yes, I can use the areas that were mapped to kind of get a good idea, but I need a survey ship. And if the resources are underwater, typically like oil, then I need a ship that's capable of operating submarines. And Sertrel is one of those. Now, I did mention that she was a contract. This was a ship that was developed for another player back when I was playing with other people as well. So she is not necessarily my ship. However, it's not really going to stop me from using her. So you can see that I pulled a little close to the edges, mostly just because I wanted to see how sharp
the rock wall wasn't for any future issues with grounding and stuff like that. But I do intend to use this ship pretty quickly, and in fact soon, if not later. Uh, you'll also notice that in some of the video clips that there are parts that are missing. It's mostly because of Apex. The survival mod made it pretty difficult to transit over these ships because they had water filtration systems on board. And now they're gone. So I did download a new mod that I'll be experimenting with in the next episode, and the idea is that it will have water filtration and waste disposal, and I'm hoping that that's the case so I can bring those systems back online on these ships because it doesn't really make sense that I have massive engineering spaces for water and food and nothing for these ships. I'm not putting farms on these ships. That's not how it works. Anyway, you can see I took this transit a little bit quicker. I'm over at 19 meters a second, and you'll see me say meters a second, knots, kind of the same, but it's mostly just because how long it takes to transit normal ship speeds in space engineers. So I just use meters a second as knots in reference to these ships. So 19 meters a second is pretty decent for a ship. It's almost 40 knots. So we're just going to say 19 knots because I don't want to limit the speed of these ships just to stay more realistic. Now, Circle does have weapons on board. She's just a civilian ship, though. And depending on how we decide to handle the MES issue, which still isn't working, maybe I might remove those weapons and leave the cargo ships or civilian vessels don't have weapons rule on. Mostly just because, like I said, the weapons were added per the contractor. He wanted some defenses because we were on a Garrison war. I thought that was fair, but I limited it to just self-defense. We can't use the ship to attack anything. Now, this is still very much a playthrough that I am working with and experimenting with and having fun with. And I hope you guys kind of enjoy it too and have some fun with it as well. Now, you will notice up ahead here that there is a channel here for transiting south. I am using a modified version of Ares at War. This is the dev server, but I've added the industrial overhaul components to it. So I wanted that channel more than I wanted a stable Ares at War. So there's that too. But I did try it before without the dev server stuff on, and the MES stuff still didn't work prior. And that's when I said, F it, and started using it myself. Basically modifying the game to how I wanted it. And if I wanted that channel, well, then I was going to get that channel. Now, the Circle is very capable in what it can do, especially when it comes to small vessels and submersibles. And yeah, you can see how close we get to the bottom in this little area. It is definitely going to have to be dredged. But so I'll look forward to that in the future. The next episode, I'm not going to show you the rest of these transits if I can help it, because I had intended that I was actually going to do a little bit more work this episode, and I didn't realize that it was going to take literal hours to transit down that channel just to get these ships delivered. So next episode, I'm only going to deliver one ship, and then we'll try to keep it at that steady pace if possible. But that does mean it's going to take me weeks, if not months, to get this base back to full operation, because some of the ships are dry docks and or being towed, and towing operations are going to take a lot longer. Like I said, I have some rules that I'm following. Like, the only ships that are able to go through this by themselves are the ones that are capable of, getting underway under their own propulsion. And if they can't, then they need to be towed and tugged. And I have transit rules for those too. And here you can see we're going to pull up to this section of the base here. This section is the salvaging yard. So we'll get back to it soon.
Alright guys, welcome aboard the Hansel and Gretel. This ship was a captured cargo vessel that my destroyer captured, We've since modified it. It's now containing literally every single component and resource that I need to get started in this world. This is stuff that kind of went by the wayside, but it's stuff that I need. This is all the materials that I used to have on at the base, and you'll see every single one of them's got a little shipping manifest and stuff like that. The unfortunate downside is that it's now night, as you can see, and I'm not so sure I'm prepared to do this transit at night. So, debating just going to bed and letting the ship sit out here until we're ready to transit. So I think that's what we're gonna do. Nope, doesn't look like I have a bed in here, so it looks like I'm doing this transit. Okay, well, I tried.
Back to 10 times me. Well, I wasn't really prepared for a night transit in this channel, and I did run aground once. There was also this issue that you can kind of see in the times 10 speed. The ship kept drifting, and it wasn't until later in the transit that I realized that some of the propellers were being activated when I turned them on, so the ship just kept thrusting in different directions, and it made it really difficult to keep up the speed. In fact, I was at full speed here, and I was only doing 10 knots. And that was really, really gutting because to travel 25 kilometers was going to take 45 minutes. And that's, before the sim speed slows down. You can see here where I start getting closer to the channel as I'm trying to figure out how to get uh, a navigation screen hooked up so I can see where I'm going, even at night, because at night it's just impossible. This ship was a MES spawn in my last playthrough, and I captured it, refitted it, and I'm still going to use it. And the hope was to use this as a cargo ship that would transit, between bases that I could, you know, trade and deal with. But now it's kind of being my cargo ship that has all my machines on it. And unfortunately, there is a bug with this save where not all the machines have loaded. I'm not sure why. I think there's a research mod or something like that that was installed in the dev server that's causing this issue. And I'm not sure how to fix it or find it. And I got a few more experiments that I'm going to try, but those machines are the only ways to build certain materials. Like the pipe extruder is the only way to build pipes in this game, like small steel tubes or large steel tubes. So the idea is going to be that until I fix it, I can't manufacture or build these machines. So the only way I can do that is by literally having them pre-made, and then or using a projector. Now you can use a projector according to my builds because it counts as a blueprint, and blueprints you can use. So I like using projectors, but there are certain rules for them. So, for example, you can't build massive 3D printing machines on ships and then like spam a bunch of drones. No, the rule goes that if you build a building for a 3D projector, it counts as a manufacturing plant, but it can only build that one blueprint. So if you're building tanks, then you can only build tanks in that factory. So you have to build another building just for those other blueprints. So like if you're building jets, you can only build jets in one building. Now, there are some exceptions to that rule. So for example, if it's not a dedicated building, then you can use the building to build one-off vehicles. So you'll see that in one of my smaller buildings that I kind of use to build like a submarine or ROVs in the future, and then that's it. They don't ever build those again. They're more for, you know, you're not manufacturing a massive number of vehicles, but it is just a small workshop. There are other rules that I do follow, like, for example, I don't like the idea of transiting vast distances just using the jetpack. So you do have to use aircraft. And other. You'll see that there are a lot of rules and stuff like that. I'm trying to get together a spreadsheet so that everybody can kind of see where it they all kind of stand and if I'm following them. The idea is that this game mode is playable for everyone, and I'd love to get the community involved and get people to help along, and I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. In the next episode, I will work on my building and try and get at least community members, their names on there if they want to help or participate and stuff like that. I'd love to kind of keep this kind of going back and forth. I do know that I won't see your guys' comments until like episode 3 or episode 2, so probably won't hear me responding to them until then. I'm not going to. I'm probably not going to stream these, mostly just because of my schedule being absolutely bonkers all the time. It's just impossible to actually narrow down a single day to just sit down and play the game. So I'm going to hopefully get at least the Steam Workshop files up and kind of play this as an RPG style or D&D style. We'll do dice rolls and stuff like that. The idea is to get you guys involved too. Now, I want you all to know that I have been watching a few other YouTubers who have kind of gone through this, and I'm not going to emulate their style all that much. I do my own building, and I do my own research, and I do follow a lot of rules to be able to build on the server, like cooling and waste disposal and collection systems, how I plan to do future projects as well. For example, I need to build a oil rig in the future to be able to pull oil from resources at the bottom of the ocean. Now, the way I'm going to do that is, drill, but I don't want to really focus too hard on mining because that's the whole point of machines. Mining machines are how you get it done. So we'll see the plan in the future on how I'm going to solve that. As you can see, we're starting to get a little bit closer, but this ship doesn't go that fast. It wasn't until the propeller fix that I actually managed to break 10 knots. And getting up to this speed was impressive in itself, especially with, thousands upon thousands of tons of material and cargo. I do hope that you guys are at least enjoying this a little bit. So, maybe you'll tell me that I'm stupid. I do want to put an emphasis on the community involvement. I kind of liked how Engineered Coffee kind of does his community involvement, where he has members and people that build stuff for his world that he puts in his world. So since the MES isn't working, I'm going to designate sections of the map that are basically zoned for you guys, and you can build something for this map for my build. And if you want to, I'll take a look at it. We'll do submissions for those zonings, and then we'll kind of put them in the game once we get to that point. I'm not entirely positive on how popular this series is going to be, because a lot of it is just going to be me taking my time and building things methodically and very slowly. I mean, the carrier's taken me about 2 years to build it. Anyway, we're starting to pull in and just start getting back to past me here, who starts unloading the cargo ship.
And we're secured.
I'm going to speed this up because I do take my time. I haven't really noticed that I can't build certain machines yet. And that's basically what this whole process is. So I start putting in the machines and then start realizing that some of them aren't there. So I haven't really solved it at this point, but yeah, like I said, I'm going to only build very specific machines, and I'm only going to have them like unloaded using a crane and then use the welding mod to put them back in the world. Or until I find the actual problem that's causing it, because not all of these materials are buildable. Like, I can't build pipes and steel tubes, so we're gonna have to I'm gonna have to do something along those lines to solve the problem. But that's the whole point of this series, is to solve my problem using engineering solutions. And you can see I'm kind of looking through some of these parts and I'm kind of getting lost and confused as to where like the pipe extruder or the wiring loom or even the computer factory that's supposed to help you build microelectronics. But you see, I'm kind of unloading what I can and putting them where they're supposed to be, and in the hopes that I'll figure out the solution in the future. And I do have a solution, but we'll see where it goes. Now, you do see that I have a couple of ships that are already here. They were unfinished projects, and I did take a considerable hit out of my resources to get them here. So, for example, it cost me 15 million per ship to just transport here without a tug. So the idea is that I paid an exuberant amount of money and resources to get this base. Thank you, dog. Not sure why he did that, but we'll move on. But yeah, you see, I'm struggling here trying to figure out where everything goes and how I'm going to get all of this materials offloaded. But we'll hop back here to past me here soon, and we'll kind of figure out what we're going to do in the future about the rest of this series.
So yeah, that's gonna kind of conclude this first episode. We're gonna figure out where we're gonna move on from here. Next episode, there will be a couple more ships arriving. I believe one of them will be one of our battleships, and hopefully we can actually get some feedback on what you guys want to see and how we're gonna move on. In the meantime, I'll try to solve this industrial overhaul issue because I would really